Imagine waking up at 4 in the morning with a pounding headache, burning heartburn climbing up your throat, and this weird, almost desperate craving to eat something even though you went to bed stuffed just a few hours ago. That was me day 20-something of an experiment I voluntarily signed up for. And here's the scary part, I wasn't eating anything that millions of Americans don't already eat every single day. In fact, the diet I was on for those 4 weeks is the exact same diet that roughly 1 in 5 people in the United States and the UK live on right now. They're normal, they're every day. And what it did to my body, my hormones, and most disturbingly my brain, is something I genuinely don't think I'll ever forget. So stick with me, because by the end of this video, you're going to look at the food in your pantry completely differently. I promise you that. Let me back up and tell you how this started. I'm a doctor, and like a lot of you, I thought I had a pretty solid handle on healthy eating. My normal diet was about 20% ultra-processed food, not perfect, but not terrible either. Then I agreed to flip that ratio completely upside down, 80% ultra-processed for 30 days, same calories I'd normally eat, same hunger cues, nothing else changed, just the type of food going into my mouth. And the whole experiment was being supervised by one of the country's top obesity researchers, so this wasn't some YouTube stunt, this was real science with real measurements before, during, and after. Now, here's the thing nobody tells you about ultra-processed food. It's not just chips and soda. We're talking fried chicken with monosodium glutamate, sodium phosphates, and spice extracts engineered in a lab. We're talking frozen lasagnas with ingredient lists that read like a chemistry textbook. We're talking breakfast cereals that snap and crackle because food scientists literally engineered them to do that. And listen, I'll be honest with you. The first day I ate that fried chicken, oh my God, it was incredible. Crunchy on the outside, perfectly salted, peppery, the chicken still moist. It tickled some weird part of my brain that I didn't even know existed. My wife took one bite and we both just looked at each other like, okay, now I get it. Now I get why people eat this stuff. And that's the trap. That's the whole game right there. These foods aren't accidentally delicious. They're engineered to be impossible to stop eating. There's actually a scientific term researchers use, and I'm not making this up. They call it hyperpalatable, basically meaning the food is so perfectly tuned to your taste buds, your texture preferences, your fat-sugar-salt ratios, that your brain literally cannot tell you to put it down. I ate 3 slices of stuffed crust meat feast pizza in one sitting, and I wasn't even hungry by slice 2. I just couldn't stop. The lasagna I had multiple times during this experiment, I'd finish a serving and immediately want another one. Not because I was still hungry, because my brain was screaming for more. By the end of week 1, I started noticing changes that honestly freaked me out a little. I was hungry constantly, like all the time. Before this experiment, I ate 3 meals a day with the occasional snack, and I was good. Now I was craving food every couple hours. I was eating whenever I felt hungry, which were the rules of the experiment, but the hunger just kept coming back faster and faster. Then came the constipation. I'm talking 48 hours without going to the bathroom. I went camping with my family during week 3, ate motorway junk food all day, and I went to bed feeling hungover. Not from alcohol, from food, the salt, the sugar, the lack of fiber, the chemicals my body had no idea what to do with. I was bloated, tired, sluggish, and my sleep started falling apart. Here's something interesting I want you to pay attention to. Some of the foods I ate during this experiment looked healthy, like genuinely healthy. There was one meal that had a green light on the traffic light nutrition system for saturated fat and sugar. It counted as one of my 5 a day, it had a decent fiber content and a source of protein. By every surface-level measurement, it was a healthy meal. But it was still ultra-processed. Why? Because it was industrially manufactured, with a long list of additives, emulsifiers, preservatives, and chemicals that don't exist in any home kitchen. This is what most people miss. Ultra-processed isn't about whether food looks healthy on the package, it's about how the food was made and what was added to it that you'd never put in your own cooking. Then came the 4-week checkup, and this is where things got really uncomfortable. I sat down with the obesity expert running the study, and she pulled up my numbers. In just 28 days, I had gained 6.5 kilograms, that's about 14 pounds in a month. Doing nothing different except changing the type of food I ate, my BMI jumped 2 full points, pushing me into the overweight category. My body fat increased by 3 kilograms. And here's the math that really hit me. If I had continued at that rate, I would have gained roughly 84 pounds in just 6 months, almost 6 stone, from eating food that millions of people consider completely normal, but the weight gain wasn't even the worst part. Not by a long shot. They tested my hormones, specifically the ones that control hunger and fullness. Ghrelin, the hormone that tells your brain you're hungry, had increased by 30%. Leptin and the related fullness hormones had decreased. That's a double whammy your body cannot win. Your hunger signal is screaming louder while your fullness signal is whispering. So you eat more, you feel less satisfied, you crave food sooner after meals, and the cycle just keeps spinning faster. This wasn't lack of willpower. This was my biology being rewired in real time by what I was putting in my mouth. And then they showed me the brain scans. This is the part where I want you to really lean in, because I don't think enough people understand this. Before the experiment started, they had done an MRI of my brain to map how different regions communicated with each other. After 4 weeks on the ultra-processed diet, they did another scan and compared them. The before scan showed normal connections between brain regions in blue. The after scan added a whole bunch of new connections in red, new pathways, new wiring, in just 28 days. The researcher told me you don't normally see this kind of change in someone over a 4-week period. It just doesn't happen. Here's what those new connections were doing. They had linked the reward centers of my brain, the parts that fire up when something feels pleasurable, directly to the areas that drive repetitive, automatic behavior. In plain English, my brain had started treating ultra-processed food the way it would treat an addictive substance. Eating these foods was no longer a choice I was actively making. It had become something my brain simply told me to do on autopilot, whether I consciously wanted it or not. The experts sitting across from me said the kind of brain pattern they were seeing is similar to what shows up in people with substance addiction. Let that sink in. 4 weeks of eating what 20% of the population eats every day, and my brain looked like an addicted brain. I sat there genuinely shaken. And then a thought hit me that I haven't been able to shake since. If my 40-something adult brain rewired itself this dramatically in 4 weeks, what is happening to children? Kids whose brains are still developing, who are far more neurologically malleable than mine, who are eating this kind of food, not for a month but for years on end. Many children in America and the UK eat a diet that looks exactly like my experimental diet every single day from toddlerhood onward. We have no real research yet on what that's doing to their developing brains, their hormones, their relationship with food, their long-term metabolic health. The obesity expert running my study, who is herself a mother, told me she walked away from this research looking at her own kids' lunches completely differently, as an obesity doctor with all her training and knowledge. So what do we actually do with this information? Because I'm not here to tell you to throw out everything in your pantry tomorrow morning. That's not realistic, and frankly, that's not how lasting change works. But here's what I want you to take from my experiment. First, recognize that ultra-processed food isn't just unhealthy in the simple way we used to think. It's not just empty calories, it's actively reshaping your hormones and rewiring your brain to want more of it. The cravings you feel, the inability to stop at one cookie, the 4 p.m. vending machine pull, that's not a character flaw. That's biology responding exactly the way these foods were designed to make it respond. Second, start reading ingredient lists, not calorie counts, not the front of the package marketing, the actual ingredient list on the back. If you see 5 or more ingredients you wouldn't find in a regular kitchen, things like emulsifiers, modified starches, flavor enhancers, preservatives with chemical names, that's a flag. It doesn't mean never eat it, it means know what you're eating. Third, try to make even small shifts toward whole foods. Cooking real food at home, even simple meals, even imperfect meals, gives your body actual nutrients and gives your brain a break from the engineered hyperpalatability cycle. Fourth, and this is huge, pay attention to your kids. The food we hand them now is shaping not just their waistlines, but potentially their brains, their cravings, and their relationship with food for decades to come. I'm not telling you to be perfect, I'm telling you to be aware. Awareness is the first step to taking back control from an industry that has spent billions of dollars engineering food specifically to override your brain's natural off switch. My experiment ended, but the lessons didn't. I'm back to my normal diet now, and honestly getting back to feeling normal took weeks. The cravings didn't disappear overnight. The brain doesn't unwire itself that fast, but it does unwire. That's the hopeful part. Your biology can recover when you give it the right inputs. And before you go, I just want to say this. If this video shifted how you think about even one item in your kitchen, if it made you want to flip a package over and read the ingredients before you buy it next time, then it did its job. Hit subscribe if you want more videos like this, where I break down real health science with real research, no miracle cures, no fear-mongering, no nonsense. Just honest information you can actually use to take care of yourself and the people you love. Because the food industry has billions of dollars and an army of food scientists working against you. The least I can do is hand you the science to fight back. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next one.